Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of our noon webinar here at the panel. Today, we are talking about Juneteenth, and we are excited to be here. As you know, yesterday was Juneteenth, but this is Juneteenth weekend, because I'm sure a lot of us will be celebrating all weekend. So we're here to have a very rich dialogue. I am honored to be here. My name is Kymara Seals. I am the policy director here at the Arkansas Public Policy Panel, and I am with my co-workers, Osyrus Bolly, who's the racial equity coordinator, and Kwami Abdul-Bey, who is our elections our elections coordinator. So good afternoon, co-workers. Oh, Kwame, you went off.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How you doing, Osyrus? What's up?
Doing all right. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. So we're here to have a dialogue. We want to talk about Juneteenth, and I don't want to really get into history because people who are watching pretty much know the history. That's something you can go and Google and find out about the history. But kind of what we want to do is frame this conversation around what's happening in our nation today. We want to talk about why Juneteenth is so important to us, to our community, to our culture, and to the nation. We have a theme. There's a national theme. Juneteenth every year has a national theme. And this year, the theme is Juneteenth, our freedom, our fight, our future. Our freedom, our fight, our future. And so that's kind of how we're going to frame our conversation today, our dialogue. But before we jump into that, I just want to ask you all, and for our listeners, I am serving as moderator today. I always say Osyrus and Kwame can run circles around me on Juneteenth knowledge. They have both studied extensively, and I have, but not like these two. So I'm going to serve as moderator and kind of keep this keep the conversation flowing here. But I do want to let's just talk.
Well, if we're doing it like that, then I'm the moderator too, because I can't put myself up against Osyrus and his knowledge.
Oh yeah, he the man. Both of y'all, come on now. And look at Osyrus, he just being modest. But anyway, let's just talk about first. How did y'all celebrate Juneteenth on yesterday, which was the actual day?
Well, for me, it was easy. I was recuperating from my foot surgery. Right. So I was in bed all day, but I did get an opportunity. The festivities that are going on in Galveston over the next several days are being live streamed by the local Channel 11 TV station there. So I've been watching that. I watched the ceremonies yesterday. And Erykah Badu also had a special Juneteenth concert last night.
Awesome.
Got a chance to watch on Prime Video.
Great. All right. Osyrus.
Yesterday, I just really tried to, rest more than anything because, that's a good time to do that on the holidays, but also spend time with my loved ones and my friends and, just get into the whole festive mood of it. So, I guess dressing the part. So,
Right.
just showing my excitement and dressing up like I do every day, but I guess it's a little bit more significant because people kind of see it and notice it when you wear your colors, your necklaces, and your things that bring out your culture and
Right.
So I just celebrated in that way, just intentionally walking out and making sure I had a good day, rested, but also being around love and then just celebrating the culture. So
Awesome. That sounds great. And I know the weekend we got a lot of things coming up. And
before you get to the weekend, Kymara,
yeah,
it was my goal to go to Pine Bluff and celebrate Juneteenth with you. So tell us what happened in Pine Bluff.
Yeah. Hey, boy, you called me out. I'm glad I went. And y'all, Kwami and I hadn't talked before this because he's not in the office today. But yes, thank you for that. I did go to Indigo Coffee Shop yesterday evening, and there was a Juneteenth celebration with poetry, the spoken word, rich history. It was phenomenal. And Kofi Davis was the host or MC. She did a phenomenal job. And we had, there were quite a few people there from Little Rock, who's in the space. And of course, Pine Bluff was there. And Brother OB, I don't know, I think he was part of that. Jimmy Cunningham, Pine Bluff, NAACP. As a matter of fact, our president, Ivan Whitfield, took the mic.
Oh,
he did good. I don't know. I had no clue he had that in him. So I'm shouting out Ivan Whitfield right now because
wonderful.
He did great. I was planning to take the mic, but I chickened out a little bit. And the reason I chickened out is because the newspaper reporter came in, Pine Bluff Commercial, and I said, no, because I don't want them to take a picture, and that's not my normal space. Although I used to do poetry, and I didn't write poetry, but I recite. I used to do dramatic reading, so I'm kind of wanting to get back into that.
Yeah,
it was great. Pine Bluff was great last night, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm so glad I got to be there. They had a DJ, line dancing, and man, it was and the Indigo coffee shop is also a bookstore.
yes.
And there were paintings up for auction. They were supporting the AXO program that Miss Marianne is over that, and so they were supporting it. So it was great. It was really great. I had a great time. So
wonderful.
Yeah. So anyway, we got other stuff coming up. We can, maybe at the end we can talk about what's coming up because I know there's a lot going on here in Little Rock, a lot going on around the state, and I'm gonna tell you this. So with Juneteenth being a federal holiday now, we are seeing more companies and organizations celebrating. And I will say, the Arkansas Public Policy Panel, we are closed on Juneteenth so that we can go and do our celebrations and things like that. So yeah, we're off with pay. So I will say that. But we are seeing a lot more organizations out celebrating, doing things, because on social media, there were so many just organizations that had issued, a greeting or some type of acknowledgement, from sports organizations to entertainment. It was just everywhere. So that was good to see. But I do want to get into, let's kind of get into the conversation. And one of the things, we want to keep it real. We want to come hard. We want to be as honest about this as we can. And so again, we want to come from the theme, our freedom, our fight, and our future. So let's start with our freedom. And so when we think of our freedom, we know Juneteenth is Freedom Day. It's Freedom Day. July 4th, our other sisters and brothers celebrate Independence Day, but it's our Freedom Day. It's Liberation Day for us. So upon that freedom liberation theme, either of you want to start just kind of with your thoughts when you hear Freedom Day, freedom, our freedom. What does that mean to you, our freedom?
I'll give the floor to Osyrus.
So for me, saying our freedom is more than about our history. It's about our heritage. Mm-hmm. So we have to honor our history, have to honor our heritage, our culture, and understand, our freedom didn't arrive with fireworks.
Right.
Not to dig too much into the history, but it's wrapped in a lot of grief as well. But at the same time, we have to be intentional, understand that the delay that we saw in our freedom was an intentional thing.
Right.
As we celebrate, we got to think about the ancestors and the struggles that they endured so that we can have freedom, and understand that it's still an ongoing thing. We still have to fight against things like voter suppression. We still have to remember this date, and not only that, but let it be known about the history of what Juneteenth is in Galveston and East Texas. And so, like I say, our freedom didn't arrive with fireworks, but we can celebrate and be loud and boisterous about it now and be proud of it. We've all of us, I know for sure, been celebrating Juneteenth before it was a federal holiday and a national
Absolutely.
holiday. And, but we understand that, and we should just make sure that make it a point for our youth to carry on the tradition, because one day when we have to rest, we have to hand over those responsibilities and to let them know that it's more than just concerts and cookouts and dressing the part, but also it's about education as well too, and that's a big part of our freedom is understanding and knowing your history, having knowledge, wisdom, and understanding about our culture and our heritage.
Right. That's excellent, and I wanna piggyback off something you said, because it's so important that we teach our children. It is up to us to teach our children, to teach our grandchildren. We know this isn't going to be taught in schools, okay? We see what's happening just with, DEI and other curriculums that's happening, and how books are being removed from libraries. They are burning books. They are trying to destroy our history. And when I say they, I clearly mean white supremacists, the oppressors. That's who I'm talking about. That is what they are trying to do. That's the label I give them. And so I want this to be a wake-up call for our people. That is our responsibility. I'm talking about parents. I'm talking about grandparents. I'm talking about our faith community, our civic community, our civic leaders. Everything we do should incorporate our history. And of course, like you said, Osyrus, we didn't just start. We've been celebrating all of our lives. The three of us on here, and a lot of our community has been celebrating for much longer. And the truth be told, now I'm gonna say this, and when I said this before, I did get in trouble, but I'm gonna say it again. I got in trouble by my own people, but I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it again because I believe it. When Congress made this a federal holiday, we were fighting for something else. We were trying to get the George Floyd in Policing Act passed.
Yes.
Couldn't get it anywhere. So what did they do? They gave us Juneteenth, and we were happy.
After they kneeled in their kente cloth.
After that, boy, come on. Excuse me. Come on here. Come on, brother. After they dressed up in their kente cloth, I still get hot when I think about how they okey-doked us. Now, let me say this. because we love uh, Mother Opal Lee, Dr. Opal Lee. She fought for years to get Juneteenth to be a federal holiday. We respect that. That's a good thing. I mean, okay, we appreciate her. We appreciate all her years of sacrifice. She resides in Galveston, Texas, or somewhere in Texas, and I think she's in her 90s. She has done phenomenal work. She's a trailblazer. She's a warrior. She is all of that. And we were pleased, that of all the work that she put into it. But when you go back and look at the timing that Congress did this, it was to shut us up about what was really going to have an impact in our country. Because like I said, we were celebrating Juneteenth regardless, So I just had to say that. And Osyrus, when you talk about the delay in freedom, that was good. People need to understand that it was these slaves in Galveston, Texas, that got the word of the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation 2 to 2.5 years after the fact. It was, and I heard you say it was intentional. It was intentional because you got to remember, slave labor was free to the colonizers. Come on, Kwami. What you got to say on freedom, our freedom?
Well, definitely, I want to. I don't piggyback, I veggie back.
Oh, you got me. Oh, you got me.
But,
okay,
yes.
You vegetarians.
First and foremost, I like the way that when you started the discussion, you brought in Independence Day.
Yeah.
And you referenced it as juxtaposed to Freedom Day.
Yeah.
And one thing that we are not taught in school, because you brought up DEI and you brought up teaching ourselves, realize that CRT is not mentioned anymore.
Right.
That just went off the map. CRT, the fight against CRT is no longer important.
Right.
It was not a real fight.
It wasn't a real fight.
Critical race theory is when you take an analysis on this social construct called race and you put it up against public policy, you put it up against the criminal legal system, and you put it up against all of these structures and systems that really help us to not realize our freedom.
Yeah.
So Juneteenth, from a historical perspective, is interesting because Juneteenth is actually tied to Cinco de Mayo. Both of them happened during the same year and just months apart because the black president of Mexico was fighting France. And when they declared their freedom on May 5th, that's intricately tied to what was going on here in the United States during the Civil War. And when you talk about that intentionality of the delay in freedom, well, the intentionality was that these people, I call them white Christian nationalists.
That's what they are.
They use Christianity as a cover for their depravity. But what they were doing is they were running west away from the Union troops that were chasing them. Mm-hmm. So you had people. Matter of fact, I learned from watching the Galveston documentary that they aired on Channel 11 in Houston last night, that the biggest plantation that was in Galveston at the time was actually owned by a landowner from Arkansas who was fleeing the Union troops, and he went to Galveston and to take his I call them human trafficked, humans that were trafficked. I don't call them slaves, but humans that were his Africans that were trafficked. He trafficked them from Arkansas to the Galveston area to flee those United States colored troops that were chasing these people to help us realize that freedom that we're talking about in our freedom segment of year's uh, this year's theme. So when we talk about freedom, we also have to realize that the Emancipation Proclamation and the General Order that was read in Galveston, it did not secure complete freedom. Only secured freedom for certain people in certain areas of the United States. And it was not until the passage of the 13th Amendment years later that true freedom was realized for some people, because today the 13th Amendment doesn't give you full freedom from forced servitude.
Right. And, we could talk about, I mean, there's so much we could talk about there, because when you talk about our freedom, we know at that time we had freedom on paper. We know we had the freedom on paper. But also, during this time, there were also people who, I mean, this was a good time because black people, were registering to vote, becoming elected at every level of government. Okay. And so we know it was a good time in the country at that time. Of course, later, the colonizers and the white supremacists realized, wait a minute, these black people are getting too much power and authority. And then come, another segment of history that we won't go into that. I kind of want to keep us on Juneteenth. But when you talk about the freedom, that was definitely, we can definitely make that.
But we don't have to talk about that, but we do have to recognize that Juneteenth is connected to the Reconstruction era, because it in the Reconstruction era, where you're talking about where we had these black people who were millionaires. I mean, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, had a plethora of millionaires.
Absolutely,
during the Reconstruction area.
Right, black people, exactly.
Yes.
Right. No. Clearly, with the Reconstruction era, that was a time of jubilance for black people, and what I was talking about, I didn't want to get into what happened after that, just kind of going through the history, because we could spend all our time talking about that. But it was definitely a good time. It was, Juneteenth ushered in the Reconstruction era. And there was, like I said, when you talk about black businesses, we had whole communities, y'all. Listen, and we sustained.
That's true freedom.
That's true freedom. We sustained ourselves with every service, lending institutions, every food, everything we need, we had it. Everything we need, we had it. Now today, when you look at us today and we talk about our freedom, we see a different story. We see a different story, because right now, where we are in 2025, we have freedoms, but are we really free? We're free, but there's a lot of angles we can talk about, because, there are statistics that show how many times the dollar is not, and I put in air quotes, is not turnover in the black community in comparison to other communities. And so are we really free when it comes to having our own sustainable communities like we did during Reconstruction? We know that's not the case. Osyrus, you want to say a little bit something about that? Any thoughts on that?
Freedom, it isn't just surviving the system. It's about building beyond it.
Right.
When we talk about, looking at ways how we can decolonize the wealth, we have to start looking at ways that policy is a part of that discussion as well. you know, I do a lot of work with the Little Rock Freedom Fund, and we are in the midst of a series right now where we're going to the community and asking, particularly we're going to the Black and brown communities, but we're asking them, what do you want to see in your community to make you feel better about your community, so that you can be more of an asset to the community? What do you want to see? And when we go around asking these questions, people give real answers, and it's not we don't give them a multiple choice. We ask them specifically, what do you want? And sometimes that might look like childcare, or hey, my area is experiencing food apartheid. We need a grocery store within walking distance. We need walkable communities. And so we got to look at surviving should already be an expectation. We want to thrive, and you want to survive, but we need to thrive. And so we have to look at the ways to allocating money from the city that we feel like is being overused in certain areas.
Right.
How can we put that back into the community? Because you show what you care about in your community by what you invest in.
Exactly.
And so, we have to think about it. And that way our communities can begin to thrive when people have ownership and take control of and be a part of the city, the decision-making process for looking at budgets and policies. So,
Right. Yeah. And let me say this, and Kwame, I'm gonna go to you. But that is so good, and we're talking about Juneteenth, and we're talking about our freedom, and taking control of our destiny. Y'all, we've got to be involved in every level of government. We have to, from school boards. Y'all, we got to get out and know what's going on. City government, municipal city government, county government. We've got to be involved. And you know what? People don't always want to hear that, but this is how we stay engaged, and we demand the things that we want, the things that we need for our children in our communities, for our families in our communities. Okay? This is part of us building community. It's all a part of it. I hear too many people say, oh, I don't want to be involved in politics. Well, politics determines everything just about in your life. What you mean you don't want to be involved? So you need to have a voice. And I want to say everybody has a voice. There is no thing as a voiceless person. Now, I don't believe that's just but what I think is sometimes people don't know how to use their voice, or they're so marginalized they don't know, And so this is all a part of building community, celebrating who we are, holding elected officials accountable. We have to do that. My friend is the mayor in Pine Bluff. She knows we're going to hold her accountable. Her being my friend don't mean anything. She's now my mayor. And she'll tell you, Kymara will hold me accountable. So we got to think about that. Go ahead, Kwame.
I really love the direction that the conversation is going in. And Osyrus, I really appreciate the work that the Little Rock Freedom Fund is doing, because you could take that qualitative data that you're collecting, and then actually show the citizens and the residents of Little Rock the direct connection of, okay, you want this, and this is how you get it, through policy, through activism, through advocating for yourselves, not just through showing up to vote, which if you don't vote, you're still voting. But as one thing that the Little Rock Freedom Fund does that I really appreciate and wish it could be replicated throughout the state of Arkansas in the fashion that they do it. And, CFC, the Citizens First Congress, does this as well. But actually showing the residents of a particular municipality how to go to school board meetings and sit there and advocate for yourself, how to go to city council and sit there and advocate for yourself, how to go to quorum court meetings and sit there and advocate for yourself, because those three levels are the most important levels in your life, because every single decision that they make affects your life. And
Right.
it doesn't affect your life next year or next month. It affects your life immediately,
Right.
as soon as the decision is made. So our freedom is tied to our actively fighting for that freedom and to preserve that freedom. And the beautiful thing about Juneteenth versus Independence Day is Independence Day was a certain community's independence from another certain community. It was white Americans, white male Americans' independence from England. That's what the 4th of July celebrates. However, Juneteenth celebrates our freedom, everybody's freedom, from basically the tyranny that the Southern white Christian nationalists were trying to put up on the United States as a whole. And that freedom was realized solely because people that look like you and me stood up and took up arms to fight for that freedom.
Right. Absolutely. So this is good, and we hope people are following this conversation about our freedom and things we need to do. And I always ask the question, are you free? And how are you free? And that's rhetorical. That's for each individual to ask and answer, evaluate evaluate our own lives, and if there are areas in your life you ain't free, you need to do what you know you need to do to get to that point. Before we go to our fight, let me say you can, I believe you can put a question in the chat, or if you're watching on Facebook, while we're doing this live, you can put a comment or a question in on Facebook while we are live. And I think Heather and Brady both are monitoring comments and questions and that. So get it in. So let's look. So that's our freedom, and there's much more that we could talk about on freedom. But let's talk about our fight. Now, again, we do appreciate the fact that Juneteenth is a national holiday. We do appreciate that fact. And when I made the comment earlier, I just wanted to show that there were two other bills. It was, I know it was the George Floyd in Policing Act, and it was one around Congressman John Lewis. I can't remember the name of it. I should have looked.
Yeah, it was the Voting Rights Act.
Yeah, the voting rights something. Yeah, right. So that is what we as a people were fighting for. We were writing our congressmen. We were calling them, trying to push for this. The heat and the heat was on, y'all. And then all of a sudden, Juneteenth becomes a national holiday. So nevertheless.
So what I just heard you say is that Juneteenth as a federal holiday was a squirrel for us.
Well, kind of.
We lost our focus because they gave us that one. Then we said, "Oh, okay, we're good."
Yeah, and that's the problem. Too many of us was like, "Oh, cool, it's a federal holiday." Hell, most of us was already celebrating it. You might not get off or what have you, but we were celebrating. I grew up in a household, and y'all did too. We were celebrating Juneteenth. We knew what Juneteenth was, and we were celebrating it. We were having community celebrations, our heritage, our culture, and having conversations and panel discussions and moving forward, and then all of a sudden. But we appreciate it. And I always want to acknowledge that we do appreciate it. But there were some other bills that would have made an impact in our lives in dealing with police brutality and some of the more harder subjects that literally got swept away. It just got swept away. And so I'm still not happy about it. I have reached out to some national organizations and I'm not happy about it. But, my senators and congressmen don't aren't on the side of activism and doing what's right by people. But we talk about our fight. And let me say this. Yesterday, and this is, I'm gonna say this, we'll have a conversation and move on to the fight. But I do want to say this, and I'm pulling it up because I want to quote y'all's president right. So on yesterday,
wait a minute, hold on, stop. You hear she said y'all's president?
He ain't my president. Hey, 44 is still my president. No. Yeah, that's right. But anyway, so yesterday, we all know yesterday, June 19th, was Juneteenth. On yesterday, this dude made a post on his, whatever it's called. And this is what he said. And none of us are surprised, but it was just the audacity. He says, too many non-working holidays in America. It is costing our country billions of dollars, and he put that in all caps, to keep all of these businesses closed. The workers don't want it either. He just saying stuff. He says, soon we'll end up having a holiday for every once working day of the year. It must change if we're going to make America great again. So he never mentioned the word Juneteenth, okay? But we know what he was talking about because dude made the post on Juneteenth. So nobody's surprised, but we're talking about it. And since we were talking about Juneteenth today, I thought it was worthy to lift up that this is part of the foolishness that we have to deal with. And of course, when he came in, all of the what do you call those things? Executive orders that he signed, and literally trying to erase our history. Literally, I mean, you look at what happened with the Smithsonian Museum of
African American history.
Yes, African American history. Thank you, Osyrus. I mean, you look at what he has done with that, and so many others. Not just that one, but we're talking about Juneteenth. Literally trying to erase our history, and so this is part of our fight. This is part of our fight when we're talking about Juneteenth. We're talking about preserving our history. We're talking, they can't erase our history, but we got to acknowledge we are in a fight. That's what I want to acknowledge. We are in a fight with the government. Now, let me say this. We ain't new to fights with the government. Our people are not new with fights from the government. We always have had fights with this government, okay? But this is a different kind of fight now. We have made so many gains over the last 40 years, 50 years, 40, 50, 30, 40, 50 years. We have made so many gains as a nation and as a people. And now we've got this administration who is literally rolling back every opportunity he can, whether it's through executive order or, creating bad bills, bad, ugly bills, I should say, that's going to impact not just our people, but American people. So let's just talk about the fight. Let's just talk about the fight and where we are and what do we do? How do we fight back?
I'll let Kwami go first.
Well, first thing, as far as Juneteenth is concerned, we have to recognize that the battle during the Civil War was between the Confederacy and the Union. And the Union was actually getting their butts kicked by the Confederacy. And as a result of the Confederacy on the verge of winning, that's when the Emancipation Proclamation was issued, so that the United States colored troops could be brought into existence officially and begin the fight, because the Union was actually losing too many people. When that influx of Black soldiers came in who were fresh, and they were fighting for a real just cause, the freedom for themselves, freedom for their families, freedom for their people, and they fought with vigor, and they really turned the entire war around. And within 3 years of them coming into existence, they fought and they won. So I would like to start that discussion by saying we fight for ourselves. And when we stand up and fight for ourselves, when we show that we have the agency to fight for ourselves, then we will win. When we fight, we win. And right now, we largely suffer from an apathetic mindset where we are afraid to fight, we don't want to fight, or when we do fight, we're fighting for the wrong things and in the wrong manner. And what we can do over this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Juneteenth weekend, is we can start having those discussions and start having the planning on how we can jump into this fight and turn back the tide that this tyranny is bringing to us right now, just in the same way that our forefathers in the United States Union troops jumped into the fight to fight for freedom then. We need to jump into the fight and fight for freedom now, because if we sit silently and do nothing, then we will have to reap the consequences of not fighting. So it's vitally important that we realize that the fight is ours to have, and we must take up that mantle to fight on all different levels. You know, we need to fight with our book sense. We need to fight with our ballots. We need to fight with our bones, and we need to be prepared to fight with our bullets.
Watch out now.
Uh-oh, the bees.
Watch out now. The bees. Watch out now. But I got something to say on that. Osyrus, you want to tie me in?
When I think about fight, you know what I'm saying, there are a lot of things that we're currently fighting that we need to be adamant about continuing to fight. Like I mentioned earlier, food apartheid or food insecurity, against voter suppression. These are some of our current fights, but also, health care, saving our public schools, and our making sure that we are being mindful about how our tax dollars are being used and what they fund. The fight is ongoing against mass incarceration. But when we talk about history, I think we need to understand the importance of fighting to preserve our libraries and librarians.
Yes.
When we talk about all the attempts to sanitize history, to whitewash history, like they say, the winners usually tell the story. But it's important that, we have ownership in our story and we control the narrative. And so we really have to protect our libraries before they become institutions that push false narratives, and protect our books that tell our true stories as well. And even currently right now in the nation, the climate with ICE, You know, I don't want people. A lot of times, you mention ICE. First thing people think about is the Latinx community or the Hispanic community, but Black people live all over the world. Black people come to America from all over the world, in particular the global South. And so ICE is not only attacking the Latinx and the Hispanic community, but also people who have immigrated from Africa, people who have immigrated from the global South, South America, the Caribbean. These are people that are also being worried about being snatched up, detained, and deported as well. And these are Black people. So we have to understand that, like, just because sometimes you don't see the issues on your front door doesn't mean that it doesn't impact your community. And so we have to continue to fight in all these different areas, particularly too also reclaiming our Black land.
Yes.
You know that land has always historically been, we've earned it, we paid for it, and it's been stripped away from us.
It has. Still happening,
It's still happening, acre by acre. So I'm glad to see the work of some of our, I call them social justice or lawyers or attorneys that are fighting for like things like heirs property, but also we have to work on reclaiming the land. It kind of almost makes me upset when I go to these different retreats, these workshops, these conferences, and one of the first things they want to do is we want to do a land acknowledgement on who's in their own. But we got to move beyond acknowledging. You know, we got to get back to getting our land back and not just acknowledging. You know, that's like somebody coming to my house and saying, I want to acknowledge the fact that when I was here last time, I took your wallet. I want to acknowledge that. And I never get my wallet back. You still hold on to my debit cards and my credit cards, my ID. I don't want you to acknowledge it. I want my property back. I want my possessions back. So we got to move beyond acknowledging land and giving it back to the people, because that's the only way we can begin to even talk about reconciliation. So the fight is going to go with all those different things, and we just have to make sure that everybody knows their role in the social change ecosystem. I can't be at every meeting. I can't be at or fight for every cause. I'm not an expert in every cause, but we have to make sure that the right people are in place to fight in all those different areas.
That's awesome.
And I want to continue the discussion on Osyrus brought in ICE. Okay, I was just in New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia just a couple of weeks ago. And I remember when I arrived in Philly, my aunt, she told me, she said, do you have your passport with you? And then I'm like, no, it's at the hotel. She said, you need to go get it. And I'm like, why do I need to go get it? Then she said, fool, you look Dominican. They will snatch you up.
Right.
So that goes right to what Osyrus was just talking about. It's people that look like us, get snatched up as well. They may not be showing it on TV, but it is happening.
It's happening.
And that goes back to what you were talking about, the George Floyd Policing Act. You know, that act, had it become law, would have resolved some of these things. And you know, and we go back to the history of Juneteenth. What happened right before Juneteenth that led to the Civil War? It was the passage of the Fugitive Slave Act, where it empowered private citizens with police powers to just go and snatch Black people up and send them down south because they look like they might be slaves.
Some crazy stuff. Like I said, we forever fought the government, and we will forever fight the government as a people. So, and let me say this, that's good. But on this fight, and I want to say, there's been a lot going on. There have been a lot of rallies and protests, you know, just over the last probably 2-3 months. And so I'm gonna say this. Black people, especially Black women, we went to the polls and voted, okay? We didn't vote for this foolishness. We didn't vote for this craziness that's happening in the world. I mean, in the country today. We didn't vote for this. Black women voted right and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but because I didn't know this was coming up, but it's just a thought I had. And black men voted real good with us.
I was getting ready to say that.
Like me, yeah, yeah. So here's what I want to say. From a perspective of, and we'll just use the last two nationwide protests that's coming to my mind. The one was they were Flag Day. Well, this man had this parade to honor him. Very, very, he wants to be a dictator. But there were people, no King's Day. That's what I'm trying to say. So they named the protest No King's Day. I didn't encourage no black people to go out there and march. I'm like, something like this, we need to know when to sit down and be quiet. You see what I'm saying? We need to know when to sit down and be quiet. And the one before that, you all help me remember. I know ACLU was a big part of it, and I can't think of the name of it. But this last one was No King's Day, and the other one was something. I didn't encourage black folk to go out there and march in that. And I'm gonna say this: some fights just aren't our fights. Okay, some fights just don't belong to us right now. Because, like I said, we voted right. We did what was right. We voted the right way. And you had all these other people who wanted this guy that's in office now, and that's what they got. They said that's not what they wanted, but that's what they voted for. And so I just say that, I just wanted to give that analogy because we do have a fight. There are things we got to fight for, but you got to choose your battles. As a people, we got to choose our battles. And because what they want to do, they would love, the government, the military, this government, I should say, would love to snatch us up and put us in jails and prisons, okay, during these protests. When white folks go out there and protest, they don't have the dogs out. They don't have the drones out. We saw it in the march before this one. We saw it nationwide. I mean, they showed protests, marches nationwide. They do not treat white women and white people like they treat us. Okay? That's why black women all across the nation was like, stay home, sit down. Okay? So I just want to acknowledge that, and it's going to come to me hopefully before we get off this live, that protest that I'm trying to call. But there are some battles that just aren't ours right now. Okay? And so we've got to be very, very mindful of those type of activities, okay? And even when you go back and look, you've got the white women talking about, we just, they know it. They know it. They don't get treated like we get treated, and it's a big difference, we're under attack. Our people are under attack. Our bodies are under attack. And so we do have to be careful. Although we have work to do, we got to use wisdom. Now, let me say this. We've got a question. We've got a question that is coming.
Yeah, I was getting ready to tell you, we got a question.
Okay, so this is from Jacob. It says, since corporations won't pay people living wages and cities... Oh, wait, let me start over. Since corporations won't pay people living wages and cities in Arkansas can't set a minimum wage, so spending power won't go up, how do you use policy to bring in grocery stores? Does it look like city-owned grocery stores, or what do you think that should look like?
That's a very interesting question, and there actually are some cities throughout the United States that are creating municipal-owned grocery stores, and they're thriving. So that is an option. Right now, I haven't researched it enough to find out the policy that creates that. But the policy that I have been working on since I was at the Clinton School is building food food cooperatives in Arkansas. Currently, there's only one food cooperative in Arkansas that actually is functional, and that's in Fayetteville.
Okay.
And so I've gone to Fayetteville and met with the people that run that food co-op there to see about replicating it here in Central Arkansas and throughout the state. And that does not require any substantive policy changes because the policy is already there to create cooperatives in state law. It's just the funding. And I've been working on for the last 10 years trying to secure funding to get that grocery store that closed on 12th Street open back up, to turn it into a food co-op so that we can have that freedom that we talked about and that Osyrus talked about, the food apartheid. So to answer your question, as far as municipally owned grocery stores, I don't know about the policy here in Arkansas to do that. But as far as independently owned food cooperatives, that policy exists. It just has only been implemented in the city of Fayetteville right now.
Okay, yeah. And I know that each city, each municipal government would have their own, whatever city you're talking about, that would be a city by city. So, but thank you for that information. And Jacob, we hope that helped answer some of your answer your question. Okay, let's shift to the last one, our future. So we've been talking about Juneteenth, and our national theme is our freedom, our fight, and our future. So we've talked about our freedom, we've talked about our fight. Now let's talk about our future. And we'll have less time on this segment than we did on our other segments. But when we think about our future, what do we think about? I know our future is bright. We are a resilient people. You look at how we came to this country. You look how we have survived. We are here. Our ancestors were phenomenal people. Our elders are phenomenal people, and we are phenomenal people. We are resilient. We know how to make things happen. We know how to make it happen. We were supposed to have been destroyed, but we're still here. So let's talk about our future. What is our future? What does our future look like? Thoughts on anything you want to share on our future? Just as it relates to where we are in society.
Well, in short term, yes, I agree with you about our resiliency and our ability to bounce back. At the same time, I want everybody to understand that the vote that happened in November of last year was a vote to bring the Confederacy back. Mm-hmm. And that was what the vote was about. It wasn't about Trump. It was about having permission to be the way their fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers were. So that's what that vote was about. So what we have to do is we have to realize that's the situation that we're in now. And we have to bring the fight for our freedom yet again, so that we can have a brighter future. But it's going to take us fighting and us realizing and preparing instead of just sitting around watching.
Right. Very, very well said. Thoughts?
For me, it's just really about, like I said, we have to carry on tradition, but also we got to know when it's time to hand the baton. And so I look forward to being able to rest. Yeah. And so in order to rest, we have to engage with our youth and our young adults. They're eager to become the next leaders, and we have to put them in a position where we where we see them win.
Right.
And to understand that they have all of the ability, all the access to all the resources. We're not going to gatekeep with our institutions. We're not going to gatekeep with the knowledge. We have to pass it on, move forward, and make sure that we set them up in the best position to win. And so we have to do more community engagement. Along with that, we have to let them dream with a radical imagination to pursue all the cultural initiatives that they want to fight for. And so I'll just end it by saying that, we're going to show them that their presence has power.
Yes.
Honor their time, promote accountability.
Yes.
And make sure that when we step down or step back, we exit with integrity. And
Right.
So we don't have to look at them and in a way that we're disgusted at the opportunities when we have. We're not the leaders anymore. We want to be encouraging and we want to be supportive. So just making sure we stand in our own business, but like I said, we got to exit with integrity because that's the way that the energy needs to feel in order for them to get the support that they need as well.
Absolutely, very well said, and I love that. I've been reading a book on it's the NAP ministry, NAP ministry, and it talks about how rest is resistance, and how we need to rest, and we do need to be preparing the next generation. And I just look over the years of just the work we've done here in this organization and much beyond. I was thinking, we've been doing this work. I've been in these streets a long time, long before Facebook and social media, before you had a way to get the message out and do that. I grew up doing some protests. I remember my mama saying, we will not shop at this place because of this, this, and this. There wasn't no social media to put it on, but we made a statement, and our money, our dollars meant something, and it's just like, I'm going to tell y'all, I look at this, how the Black people came together with this boycott against Target. Man, I loved Target. I was in Target. I did my Christmas shopping in Target. But since they pulled back that their DEI, all of that, and we did the boycott, I ain't set foot in Target. I've driven that direction. I'm like, oh no, we boycotting Target, man. And I'm gonna
remind yourself on the way.
You have to remind myself, but it was a sacrifice because like all my stuff is at Target. But since the boycott, I will not spend. I'm 10 toes down. We're not spending. I ain't spending no more money at Target. And I had already let Walmart go, and I was like, Lord, now Target, but they ain't doing right. So it's about it's about where we stand and what we gonna stand for. But I remember, my mom saying we will not. She wasn't gonna spend another dollar at wherever it was, and I'm the same way. So, just the unity, and like we've canceled Target. I mean, all the billions of dollars they've lost, their shareholders are pissed and all of that. And like I said, I don't even have none of that in front of me, the statistics, but it's pretty bad nationwide. It's pretty bad. So we stand together. We can make a statement now. We can make a statement. And I know even with Target, what hit us so hard was they're the ones who made the commitment after the murder of George Floyd to spend all of these millions of dollars in the Black community. They made the commitment because if you remember, the murder of George Floyd was in the city of the headquarters of Target.
Yes. And
they came wanting to make an impact, wanting to help the Black community. We're here for you, blah, blah, blah. They did that. They came to the table. And soon as this guy was elected president, it's like, oh never mind. Like, for real, that's what hurt so bad with Target, man. That's what hurt so bad. And some of these others were halfway anyway, but Target was all in with us, so that really hurt. So yeah, I ain't wanted to spend no more money at Target. So we take a stand, we can do. So like I said, our future is bright, and I appreciate I think this has been a rich dialogue. Y'all that are watching, tell us what you think about the conversation. Tell us what you thought, how we, just share some stuff with us. Show us some reactions or something. Kind of so we'll know. There's a lot more that we could say, because you got three people on here who eat, breathe, live this. I mean, we are Juneteenth. We proud Black people, and we Black and we proud. And so, like I said, this is every day for us. Like, it's just like Black History Month. We live it every day is a celebration. But of course, February we do extra things. But that's just kind of where we are. So let me just give you all closing thoughts or statements on before we do that, some upcoming Osyrus, I know you probably know some upcoming celebrations. Let's give the people any information that that's coming up.
So as far as the Juneteenth celebrations, there is one in Central Arkansas at the Mosaic Templars Cultural Center. Mm-hmm. It's a new event. The event, I believe, starts at the entertainment for the event starts at 10 o'clock, and it goes all the way to about 8 or 9 o'clock tomorrow at Mosaic Templars. You got a plethora of artists from here in their community that'll be performing, and some national recording artists as well too, Elvana and October London.
Okay.
And I also just say give a shout out to the city of Wilmer, Arkansas.
Yes.
The June dinner has been this week and this weekend, and so that's the longest Juneteenth celebration in the state of Arkansas. Yep. Well over 100 years of celebration. It's been a tradition in Wilmer, Arkansas, and shout out to Mayor Tony Perry. If you ever meet her, she's going to let you know Wilmer, Arkansas is the home of the longest running Juneteenth celebration or June dinner or Jubilee dinner in the state of Arkansas. So
that's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's all. And I've been to a couple of theirs, man. They have more people in that community for Juneteenth than probably in the whole region. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's great. Yeah, so I know tonight I'm going to Hamburg to a Juneteenth celebration. It's the Linda Hill Juneteenth Memorial Walk, and so when my mom passed, they named that walk in memory of my mom. So I'll be shout out to all my home folk in Hamburg. I'll be down there tonight, and then tomorrow tomorrow afternoon. I'm coming to I'll be at Mosaic Templars with my grandson. Yeah, so it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. And Kwami, I know you'll be trying to celebrate virtually somewhere since you're laid up.
I'm in bed right now. So
yeah, you laid up in bed. Exactly. So so in closing, how do we people how can families not celebrate some things they can do with their kids maybe that they can't, let's say don't have transportation, they can't get out to Mosaic Templars. Any ideas on some things people can do?
The only thing that I know of is, PBS on their website, they have a page for Juneteenth with a lot of activities and videos. So it's more educational.
Yeah, that's great.
They can do with their children.
So is that pbs.org?
Yes.
pbs.org. So y'all check out pbs.org. Everybody has a cell phone. So you can watch it, or computer, laptop, whatever. You can watch it. pbs.org. Check it out. And there's educational stuff there. So, all right, y'all give us a last, just kind of a closing thought about Juneteenth.
Only thing that I want to add to the discussion is when Osyrus was talking about the Wilmer celebration, he brought up the word Jubilee. And so whenever you think of Juneteenth, always connected to the biblical celebration of Jubilee. Jubilee was real freedom, where and that freedom was freedom not only from bondage, but it was freedom from debt. So I really appreciated Osyrus bringing that word into the discussion.
Great.
I'll just say that Juneteenth, that's not the end of our story. So we got to work on ways to continue to reclaim what's ours, to replant what we want to see, and to also continue to reimagine what our ideal society looks like, and what our intentional communities should look like as well too. So continue that and just celebrate the history, the art, and our stories. So.
That's right. Awesome. And support Black businesses. We're very intentional about that. We got to support Black businesses year round, but definitely this weekend. Okay. But we support.
I would love for somebody to deliver me a meal from the home restaurant.
Oh, that's where I'm headed. Okay, text me your order. That is it. Osyrus, I bet you were headed there too, aren't you?
Oh yeah. I'm going there. I'm gonna support 2 Black businesses while I'm out on lunch. So yeah.
Oh wow, isn't that something? Yeah, I'm headed over there now. I'm gonna tell you, I love their food. I'm not a vegan, but I love
Jamaican Day the other day. I saw one.
Yeah, the Jamaican restaurant. Y'all, we be doing it. All right, well, thank you all so much.
Take my pain meds. So
take your pain medication. Y'all, this has been good. The conversation has been rich. You know, I shouted out my hometown of Hamburg, but I just shouted out Pine Bluff. Pine Bluff, UAPB having a big celebration tonight. Y'all check them out. They talking about doing one of the biggest line dances I think they said in the country, but I'm going to miss it. I would be in Hamburg, but got to shout out Pine Bluff and UAPB. All right, you guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. It's been great. I love the energy. I love the vibe, man. Y'all have a great weekend. Go celebrate. Go do something. Celebrate. All right.
And rest. Celebrate and rest.
Celebrate and rest. That's right. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.